Australia is a beautiful and spectacular country where you can still drive for days without seeing a single soul. It also is a country with extreme weather conditions, from plus 50 degrees well down to minus degrees, and that sometimes in the same day. The terrain is often harsh and relentless, from endless parallel sand dunes to stony deserts and bone-breaking corrugation for hundreds of kilometers in the red center. If you head towards the southeast, you will find isolated beaches full of quicksand in Tasmania. Fact is, it is still easy to die out in the Australian bush, especially if you're ill-prepared and lack the experience, but also just through pure bad luck or human error. The most important safety net you can have in the bush are multiple forms of communication, which allow you to get help in emergencies. In this video, I like to show you what I carry for emergencies, and in particular I will explain my Personal Locator Beacon, PLB. Hey guys, Stefan Fischer here from All Off Road. Today I'd like to discuss an item which I carry with me for 7 years, but I never used it. Usually stuff which is not used is gonna left out at the next trip. However, that is an item which I will continue using. It's called a PLB, or Personal Locator Beacon, and my one actually just expired in February 2019. That is a PLB I purchased 7 years ago. The battery life of these GME beacon lasts 7 years. GME was kind enough to provide me a new beacon which now will last another 7 years. I could have also refurbished my existing beacon, which is around $100 cheaper than a new one, but yeah, I opted for the new beacon. A PLB, or Personal Locator Beacon, is in my opinion a must-have item for anyone who travels the remote outback or does any kind of touring. These should not be your own means of contact. Obviously, if I'm gonna do remote travel, I carry various means of contact. I have 2 UHF radios which allow me to converse with my convoy or the people I travel with, and sometimes even with people in different convoys depending on how close they are, but the average range is anywhere between 3 and maximum 20 kilometers. On top of that, I carry a satellite phone. A satellite phone is also great to have. However, the purchase price is quite expensive, and then you need to pay a monthly maintenance cost. The advantage over a satellite phone is obviously you have two-way communication. You could order parts, get parts sent somewhere. So that's definitely something I carry. However, we had instances where it did not work. Scotty, what's happening?
We've got sat phones basically. Dan's got an Inmarsat unit. He's got 2 valid vouchers which he's screenshotted and they're unused.
I have my unit. I also have a valid voucher which I confirmed beforehand. And Scott tried. Your phone doesn't even switch on, no?
Yeah, this is Dan's phone. It won't, despite being powered up all day. It was charging this morning. We spent the day on the road and it just fails to even switch on now despite being fully charged. So
we couldn't activate the code. We had an instance where the phone all of a sudden didn't work even though it was charged before. In this case, we didn't need to use the phone for an emergency, but a satellite phone would certainly not be my only means of emergency communication. Obviously, you have your mobile phone with you, but let's face it, once you're out of the populated areas, a mobile phone hardly works and certainly is not something you can rely on in case of an emergency. I also carry a little Spot 3 device, which also doubles as a PLB. However, because that is used to pretty much distribute my current location in a 5-minute distance to my friends and family and our ground Charlie, who monitors our travel. That is not something I would have instead of a dedicated PLB, because this is in use pretty much every day and batteries can fail. If I do any travel away from the car, say we do a walk for half a day or something, this is what I'm going to carry with me. It is also one-way communication. Actually, I can send some predefined messages to my loved ones, hey, I'm okay, or everything is good, or we need assistance but not life-threatening. But really it's one-way communication. People can follow my tracks, they see my location, which updates every 5 minutes. So also quite handy to have, but does not replace PLB for me. So if you're in the market to purchase a PLB, I have a GME MT410G here. It is quite important that you choose a PLB which has also a GPS function in. There are cheaper PLBs out there without GPS. They have quite a few disadvantages. PLBs which also have GPS transmit, in addition to the 406 MHz band, also on the 121.5 MHz band. And that has a position accuracy of less than 100 meters. Much closer than without GPS, which would be 5 kilometers. It also obtains a position fix much quicker than without GPS, which can be up to 5 hours. Here it is between 15 and 20 minutes. These GME comes with a 7-year battery life and warranty. You don't have any ongoing costs, so you only pay the one-off purchase price, which I've seen them as cheap as $280, and that will last you then for 7 years. Once you purchased the beacon, make sure you're registered with EMSA. I've got the URL here in the link. That is very important. When you register the unit, which is allocated to your name, you can also put various informations in there. For example, your emergency contacts, and quite importantly, before any big trip, update the description where you're planning to go, what you're intending to do. You also then should do a simple self-test before each trip, which is pretty simple. You take this pin here, in the back is a little hole, just put it down, let it go, and you hear it beeping. That is a self-test which you should do before each major trip. However, there's another self-test which is limited to only 8 times of the lifespan of the PLB, and that tests the GPS functionality. Let me show you how that works. Similar. As with the standard test, you insert the pin and pull it down, but this time you don't release it. You wait until the unit beeps 4 times and then you release the pin. It will then beep for 6 seconds in fast succession, which shows you it has obtained a satellite fix. The GPS test consumes far more power than a normal test, so make sure you do it outside with clear line of sight of the sky. Another important tip is, make sure that everyone in your group knows where your PLB is located. For me, that is always in the center console of the vehicle. It is also very important that you explain to all your fellow travelers how to activate the beacon, so that in an emergency, it's not just you who can activate it. I, for example, went with all my kids through the routine and explained in detail. Keep in mind, the PLB should only be activated as a last resort and in a life-threatening emergency. So if you have a flat tire somewhere, you would not activate a PLB. For instance, one example would be that you somewhere in the remote Simpson Desert, someone got bitten by a snake, your satellite phone doesn't work, that's when that PLB would come into play. I also make a calendar entry probably a month before the battery expires, so that I have a reminder. Please also keep in mind, these PLB will work internationally. So if you travel to Europe or Africa or wherever, and you're planning to do some remote travel there, take it with you, but make sure you update your location at the EMSA website. You could also lend it to someone else, but again, update that in the EMSA website so that they know who to contact and who currently has the beacon. If you decide to dispose of your beacon, don't just throw it away. You can actually unscrew 4 bolts here, take it off and then disconnect the battery. So don't just throw it away. That can become quite expensive, because if that is gonna get activated somewhere in a tip, it is obviously mapped to your name. And if they're gonna have to go through a tip to find that, it's gonna be expensive. To activate it, the manual's on the back of the unit. You pretty much just flick open the antenna and then place it away from any vehicle or from yourself in an upright position with the antenna facing up. It really needs a clear line of sight to the sky to work best. Not much use really to activate it in the car. You would only do that if you had a rollover, you can't get out of the car, you know, then you may try that. If you in a mountainous area and you're down in the ravine, if you have any chance, get the beacon to high ground before you activate it. After you activate the unit and it has a GPS fix, it will flash and beep for 6 seconds consequently. After that 6 seconds, it will do around 20 beeps and flashes per minute. That means it's all working and it has a GPS fix. It will transmit your GPS location for at least 24 hours, and that is at -20 degrees. So if it's warmer and you have more moderate temperatures, it should transmit it for way longer than that. I only had one instances in all my travel where I had the beacon out and was ready to use it, and that was when Mark rode his Discovery 4 down a very steep bank, and initially we didn't know whether he was injured. We just got over the UHF that Mark rode his car. I don't know how. It turned out he wasn't really injured much except some bruises, so we didn't need to set it off. I actually went then to the top of the hill to use my satellite phone to see what recovery options we have, but my satellite phone would not switch on, even though it was fully charged. When testing it the day after, it switched on without an issue. One question often asked is, if I have a satellite phone, like this Iridium phone, which I usually carry with me, will I still need a PLB? Personally, I say yes, 100%, because satellite phones can fail. Satellite phones need sometimes firmware updates. Satellite phones need to be charged, while a PLB 7 to 10 year lifespan in your glove box, the likelihood that that's not going to work when it needs to is very, very slim. The unit costs under $300, lasts for 7 years, so really for around $40 a year, you know that wherever you are, you have a great likelihood of triggering an emergency response and get search and rescue out to you. So in my book, well worth the money. But I'm actually super keen to hear, does any one of you carry a PLB and had to use it? And how long it takes roughly for help to arrive? Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video and got some information out of it. If you don't have a PLB and you do remote travel, I can only strongly encourage you to get one and have it in your vehicle. For full transparency, the first unit which I demonstrated on, I purchased. The second unit GME provided for me for free. If you like to support me further to create this kind of content, your help as a Patreon supporter would be greatly appreciated, because really this channel and everything I do is self-funded. I have no big sponsors, I don't do any paid reviews. I get items for free from time to time to review, but that is really completely up to me. I only ever give my honest review of the items. I will never do cash for comments or do reviews which I can't stand behind 100%. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already, like the video and leave me a comment in the comment section.